All right, so what I wanted to talk about, which was inspired by a tweet that I put out, obviously originating from my YouTube comments, where all sources of good content come from. It's never from the content itself, it's from the comments that stem from them. I was checking my YouTube notifications the other day, and this was on a video I had doing match analysis. And in those series of videos, viewers submitted their matches to me, and they wanted me to review their matches to be able to provide some kind of critique, some kind of feedback in order to help them improve at the game. They were met mostly with positive responses, and people enjoyed getting some kind of feedback, be able to analyze their matches and see how they can improve. But for some reason, some people didn't. I screenshotted one of these comments to share to the world what I had read, and it's this. These matches anyone could analyze. I know I could. I'm from the 90s, played at Arcade SH Golfland, CA, California. Firstly, this is a Street Fighter game built for scrub players. The core mechanics of the game are easy mode. Example, at the beginning of the video, you have a master rank and a diamond rank, lol. Tier smiley face. Both players are using easy mode characters. Ryu is self-explanatory. You have a guy saying he's having trouble using Seth. How much more of a crutch do you need? Then he proceeds to continuously do standing light kick, cruel disaster kick with no prejudice. Then you're seeing a character who's got maybe 100 target combos. What the fuck? My advice would be for him to stop being lazy and choose a character that takes actual skill to play. The real player is just mashing buttons. These millennials. Of course, accentuating it all with a teary smiley face at the end. That's how you always wrap it up. I was just like so surprised to read this kind of a comment, because what value does this add to the world? Once again, the content of the video he's commenting on is people who are purposely extending themselves out there, putting themselves, you know, in a vulnerable position, saying, hey, I would like some help, and get some other eyes looking at my matches to get some feedback. They're already admitting that they're looking for feedback, so they're from a humble position, a vulnerable position, seeking guidance. And then we have someone who presents himself as an authority with his credentials, as being a 90s arcade player playing at a specific arcade, Golfland, Southern Hill, California, Golfland, which is kind of a noteworthy arcade in the history of the American FGC. Definitely some legendary players came out of this arcade. So he presents that as his sort of accolade, that he was present at that time, so that he comes from a position of power here, and he uses that power to shit on new players seeking help. I made this tweet pointing it out, and I made the comment, why are all the people who played fighting games in arcades in the 90s like this? Obviously, I'm definitely exaggerating here, being hyperbolic, being a little prejudiced even, but this comment represents, and this mentality represents, a certain class, a certain member of the FGC, if you will, and that is the FGC boomer. Because it's not just about where you started and your age, it's about a mindset. I think if you spend enough time in the fighting game community, competing and meeting people, eventually you're gonna run into this fucking brick wall of a person, of a member of the community who is an FGC boomer. And it has been something that I've dealt with from the very beginning of trying to go to tournaments and trying to learn games more in depth and you know, learn from players. Because as an 09er, the FGC boomers would term me an 09er. I had to learn from these people. I had to go out and travel and play games with these people. I had to interact face to face with people with this mindset all the time. And if you couldn't deal with their bullshit and get through it, it would just weed you out of the community. Players like this and people like this have this mindset because they're not trying to help you. As you can clearly see, they're not trying to help you. They're just trying to relive their glory days and reassert themselves as being some kind of position of power and gatekeep new people from improving and getting into the community so that they could always be in that position of power. And I've dealt with it. If you're in the FGC, you've dealt with it. And I thought we'd take a moment to analyze this person, this type of mindset, and see other examples of FGC boomers. It's not about age. It's not about if you started in these arcades or not, because there's many legends who have started in these kind of beginnings, who have gone on to be great members of the community and give back and be leaders, but there's plenty who haven't. On this thread, someone replied and had a screenshot of another comment. Back in the 90s, when it really counted, bro, the best player to play Street Fighter Edition was other people less cocky but more passion. Names are Tomy, Alex, Daigo, me from Chicago, and my two brothers. We were the best. We were one with the game. So many wins. Now the best is Justin Wong, and most popular is Lupe Fiasco. You know, the FGC greats, Alex, Daigo, Tomy, and me from Chicago with my two brothers. Everyone remembers, right? Another one pointed out, the guy who made this comment, apparently he's the silver ranked Honda player. So there seems to be another common thread. The FGC boomer is not just someone who started in the arcade days, like I said. It's someone who started in the arcade days, peaked in the arcade days, and has never progressed past that in their FGC hobby or career, whatever you may want to call it. Usually they're trash at new games. They blame the games for being trash at them. So keep in mind, this guy is criticizing the master rank and diamond rank players for playing easy mode characters like Ryu. Meanwhile, he plays Honda and he's silver rank. You see where the hypocrisy is coming from. And I'm sure plenty of you in the chat have dealt with FGC boomers in the past. I figured we'd take this opportunity to, talk about FGC boomers and share our thoughts about them and what makes an FGC boomer with the only way we really know how to communicate. Us millennials know how to communicate with memes. So I figured we would go through and fill out this meme together. But wait, hold on. I actually I gotta censor that before Twitch bans me. TOS. So I figured that the FGC boomer blames losses on new games being too easy. They're too easy. They're so easy that he always loses. That's like the most common one to me. The game's too easy, so I always lose. That is always the strangest one to me. The game is so easy that I lose. How does that make sense? What else makes an FGC boomer? He takes the working side of the cab, leaves broken buttons for opponents. That's why they like arcade cabinets so much, because you can always cheat and give yourself an advantage. Yeah, bro, don't worry. Player 2 has a few buttons not working, it's not a big deal. You might have to try smashing it 30 times with all your might. Be able to register a single attack, but definitely arcade is the best way to play. Don't forget hearing your opponent's buttons. Relies on outside game meta to cheat opponents out of wins. Listening to opponents' buttons? Not even once, man. Try that shit online where the real warriors play. Back in the arcades, we never use throws. They are too cheap. Yep, refusing to accept game mechanics for what they are, and soft bans them from being used. Brags about winning locals with 10 people and 1 working joystick. That was great, winning the tournament when no one knew how to play the game and the controllers didn't work. Pinnacle of fighting game achievements right there. He lets the dogma of footsies and fundamentals dictate his decisions. Resorts to violence when someone plays in a way he doesn't like. Everyone talks about how tough the arcade days were, how they're all just fucking bosses of the machine. But then on top of that, every story I hear about the arcade, if you played the game the wrong way and you broke the unspoken arcade rules, someone's gonna be there to stab you or take your ass outside and beat you up for doing too many throws. They were too scrubby to be able to adapt to the game and play it. Thanks for holdback cheapens the real experience. I don't even know if they know what netcode is. Calls new players soft for wanting to focus on learning the new game, not focusing on pretending to be tough. That's a very common one to me too. FGC these days is soft. Whenever I had a disagreement, I settled it in a set. You know what they say? Every disagreement, every debate can always be settled with the first to 5. A math quiz, settle with the first to 5. You owe someone money? First to 5. All right, how about the Chad New Age player? He uses pad because it is most convenient and portable controller. I'm like in between boomer and New Age player. I'm so jealous of pad players. I could have been a pad player myself. I could have. I started learning on pad, then I converted to stick. You know how many times I'd be hanging out with like Cool Kid at a tournament? I'd have to make him hold my arcade stick so I can go take a piss in the bathroom without like having to pack everything up or hold it underneath my shoulder. I'm trying to like, get the job done. And then Cool Kid just tells me, oh, I just put my controller in my pocket. Oh, fucking Chad. Doesn't let ideas like footsies prevent him from expressing himself with his own playstyle. Is happy to play top tier characters because it is the smart move to maximize winning. Doesn't blame shortcomings on the game. Doesn't let FGC Boomer keep them from having fun with bad modern games. Yes, that's very important. The FGC Chad New Age player is definitely a free thinker in this regard. In the face of the Boomer trying to discredit their wins and bring them down, they still manage to have fun. Constant labbing. How about this? Knows frame data. Oh, I think we've got to put that one over here. Frame data is cheating. I don't need frames to win. I rely on instinct and heart. I don't know when they added frame data to games. Made it all about math and numbers for nerds. That's a big one I always hear too. When did they add frame data to games? I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding of what frame data is. Looks forward to balance patches to keep meta fresh, actually has fun while playing. That's a big one. That's actually a big one. Watches Brian_F. You think that one might be too on the nose? Subscribes to Brian_F on YouTube. Yes, every Chad New Age player definitely does this. That is very true. I can confirm. Loves Twitch Prime to support FGC content creators. Yeah, they love their content creators because they help spread FGC content, get more people into the scene, and help share knowledge. It's great. Oh, that's a good one. Calls people 09ers in 2020. I don't know if any of you guys even remember that. That's a good one. Saves tech for nationals. New Age player shares tech on Twitter, Discord to push the meta. That's a big one. The hell's a national? Encourages new players to learn at their own pace and enjoy the process. This is a big one to me. The boomer tells new players they suck and will never get good. If they get good, the game carry them. This is the biggest OS you hear from boomers. You can never win. That's the number one thing with an FGC boomer is, according to them, you will never win. They will justify and reason away your wins until you lose on their terms. That is the number one thing I've learned about this community, since there's so many older players who've come from this era and are stuck there. People will rationalize your wins away until you lose on their terms. And it happens to this day. It happens to everyone. It happens to me. I've gone through it for years. It happens in 2020. It still happens to this day. The FGC boomer will never stop trying to take from you any sense of accomplishment or joy you have in this community. Don't let it happen to you. Takes the throw. I think we got a lot of good ones. Let's observe our work here, chat. The FGC boomer versus the Chad New Age player. I think we got it. I think we captured the essence of it. Do I have someone that makes thumbnails for me, or do I make it yourself? Can't you see how good I am at Photoshop? Obviously, I make them myself. That was a good job, chat. Chad wants to get better. FGC boomer wants to return to a time when they were better. And I think that's the difference. It's not funny, it's too true. Yep, I mean, you have a point there. It's very true.